From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced his bid for re-election. In a video released Tuesday, Biden framed the 2024 contest as a fight against Republican extremism and a battle for the soul of America. The video opened with images of the January 6, 2021 insurrection and abortion rights activists protesting at the U.S. Supreme Court. Biden says he needs more time to fully realize his vow to restore the nation's character. The Democrat also cast the next election as a fight for democracy and personal freedom, saying, "Let's finish the job." The 80-year-old says his record merits another 4 years in the White House, and his age won't impede his ability to govern. Former President Donald Trump has already launched his bid to return to the White House on the Republican ticket. A federal court in New York has begun selecting a jury to hear evidence that former President Donald Trump raped the famed advice columnist E. Jean Carroll nearly 30 years ago. Carroll alleges Trump pinned her against the wall of a New York department store and sexually assaulted her in late 1995 or early the following year as they shopped together. She filed the case last year under a New York state law. That opened a one-year window for adult victims of sexual assault to file civil suits after the statute of limitations has expired. The case is so far the only one to come to court among more than a dozen allegations of rape, groping, and sexual assaults against Trump. Accusations have also been made that Trump walked unannounced into women's dressing rooms at beauty pageants. Concerns over the United States gun violence epidemic and the prospect of losing their homes increasingly weigh on young Americans, according to a poll released Monday. About half, or 48%, of 18 to 29-year-olds report feeling unsafe in the past month, according to the Institute of Politics at Harvard Kennedy School. About 40% were worried they could fall victim to gun violence amid repeated mass shootings in the U.S. Nearly three-quarters, or 73%, said they agree homelessness can happen to anyone. This was especially the case with Latino and Black respondents. The spring 2023 Harvard Youth Poll included responses from over 2,000 young Americans and was conducted last month. Minneapolis police are partnering with the FBI to investigate a possible bias motive behind an arson attempt at a Minneapolis mosque on Sunday evening. Worshippers noticed a fire in a second-floor bathroom at the Masjid Omar Islamic Center. That happened shortly after a masked white man entered with a large paper bag, according to video footage. Community leaders believe the paper bag contained a large container filled with flammable liquid. About 70 worshippers were in the mosque during the arson attempt. This is the third attack on a Minnesota mosque this year, according to CARE Minnesota Executive Director Jailani Hussein. Hussein said he feared the Muslim community will become apprehensive of attending the houses of worship. He called on community members to be more vigilant, increase security at mosques, and realize that we are under threat. Former NFL quarterback and racial justice activist Colin Kaepernick will pay for an independent autopsy for LaShawn Thompson. Thompson, who suffered from mental health issues, died last September in a filthy, insect-infested cell in an overcrowded Atlanta jail. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump spoke at a rally and news conference outside Fulton County Jail, where Thompson was held for 3 months before his death. The 35-year-old was arrested last June for alleged misdemeanor battery. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and transferred to the jail's psychiatric wing. On September 13th, an officer saw Thompson slumped over in his cell, which was so dirty a staff member who entered it wore protective gear, jail records show. Thompson lay dead with his eyes open, his body covered with what Crump said were more than 1,000 insect bites. Jail records show medical and correctional staff repeatedly voiced concerns about Thompson's deteriorating health, but did not help him. An official autopsy could not determine the cause of Thompson's death, but noted an extremely severe insect infestation on his body. A report obtained last year revealed widespread medical negligence in Fulton County Jail's mental health unit. Over 90% of inmates there were severely malnourished and developed cachexia, a wasting syndrome often associated with diseases like advanced cancer or AIDS, the report said. It also found that all of the inmates in the unit had either lice, scabies, or both. An event on Islam and Christianity at Belmont University in Nashville has drawn condemnation from the school's Muslim Students Association and an apology from the institution's leadership. The event at the private Christian college featured a presentation from the Crescent Project. That organization aims to aggressively preach Christianity to American Muslims. It included flyers that said Islam ultimately does not offer salvation or peace, and said the Muslim world is in a state of spiritual dryness like a desert, according to student newspaper Belmont Vision. The Muslim Students Association said even though the university prides itself on being inclusive, the incident on Wednesday showed the school has work to do. In an Instagram post, the MSA said, "We are very disappointed in the dishonesty, blasphemy, and bigotry displayed toward the faith of Islam and our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him." The American Muslim Advisory Council, an advocacy group for Muslims in Tennessee, called the incident egregious. The council asked the university to take concrete steps to ensure nothing like this ever happens again in an Instagram post. Belmont President Greg Jones said several of his cabinet members will be working this summer on establishing a document of guidelines and expectations for future guest speakers. Loud chants carried through the main plaza at Baruch College in New York last Thursday as roughly 40 students protested near the Office of Student Life. The students, a majority of them Muslim, called on the administration to offer better, more accessible interfaith spaces. Thursday's protest on the final day of Ramadan was one of the larger weekly protests students have organized in the past 2 months. The campus currently offers an interfaith space that fits around 15 students. The college has more than 500 Muslim students who say the room is not big enough to meet their needs. Last year, students at City College, under the CUNY school, faced the same issue as those at Baruch. Students there were able to work with the administration to secure an interfaith space. President Biden pledges to fight Islamophobia. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. President Joe Biden has assured Muslims that his administration is committed to addressing Islamophobia. This was in his Eid message broadcast on Friday. As we celebrate our blessings this Eid, let us also recommit ourselves to the timeless work of building peace and standing up for the rights and dignity of all people, he said. Biden said his administration is committed to addressing all forms of hate and has established an interagency task force to tackle such challenges. This year, the United Nations observed the first International Day to Combat Islamophobia on March 15th. Pakistan initiated the proposal and was invited to chair the first observation at the UN headquarters in New York. The White House will organize an Eid dinner on May 1st. Last weekend was filled with Eid al-Fitr celebrations in America and across the globe. Muslims gathered to perform Eid prayer at the Denounce Center of America in the Maryland County of Washington. At Masjid al-Taqwa, one of New York's oldest mosques in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, worshippers from various backgrounds wore their Eid best as they raised their hands in prayer. Thousands of Muslims in Pakistan's largest city, Karachi, offered their Eid al-Fitr prayer on Saturday. Thousands of Muslims in India flocked to the Taj Mahal in Agra, Uttar Pradesh, to offer their Eid al-Fitr prayer on Saturday as well. India did not allow Eid prayer at the historic Jamia Masjid in Srinagar in Indian-held Kashmir. This is the fourth year in a row that Eid prayer was disallowed in the mosque that has been central to the religious life of Kashmiris for centuries. Families visit Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque to celebrate their Eid al-Fitr holiday, marking the end of the fasting month of Ramadan in Solo, Central Java, Indonesia. Muslims gathered Saturday to perform their Eid al-Fitr prayer at the Masalikul Jinan Mosque, West Africa's largest mosque in Dakar, Senegal. Muslims in Rwanda's Kigali flocked to Pele Stadium to perform their Eid al-Fitr prayer on Friday. Thousands of Muslims in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, flocked to the Addis Ababa Stadium to perform their Eid prayer on Friday. On Sunday, children in Khan Yunis, Gaza, celebrated the third day of Eid al-Fitr by riding camels, horses, and ATV bikes. And hundreds of Muslims gathered Friday in a mosque in Mexico City to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. In related news, mosques remained empty in the Sudanese capital Khartoum due to ongoing clashes. Over 400 people have been killed and more than 3,500 injured since April 15th, despite a temporary truce for their Eid al-Fitr holiday. Tens of thousands are leaving the capital, where fighting is fiercest, and fleeing to other parts of the country, as well as Egypt, Chad, and South Sudan. Sounds of heavy artillery and gunfire were reported in Khartoum's twin city of Omdurman, despite a 72-hour U.S.-brokered truce between Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Heavy fighting between the army and RSF has entered its second week. The White House said Monday that the U.S. is actively facilitating the departure of American citizens in Sudan amid the conflict. An annual analysis published Monday has revealed that global military spending rose to an all-time high of more than $2.2 trillion last year. That is driven largely by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the Western response, as well as a steadily increasing budget of the Pentagon. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute's annual report showed a 3.7% overall increase in worldwide military expenditures to $2.24 trillion in 2022. That included a 13% rise in Europe, the the continent's sharpest increase in 3 decades amid Russia's war on Ukraine. India has been the world's largest importer of major arms for almost 3 decades, holding this position from 1993 to 2022. It has an 11% share of global arms imports. Before we end today's news, I'd like to make a special request. It takes our team a combined 55 hours of work daily to produce this news for you. It is news with a unique perspective, and you will find it only here. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization which produces it, and just like PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, or click on the link below to donate. Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.